everyone, this is Jennifer with Planting Science. We are now approaching mid session for our fall 2023 session, which means we have a ton of groups that are just starting to come online, students that are just logging in for the first time. So, this seemed like a good time to create this tutorial video just to showcase what students can see and how they need to interact with their project pages. So, what I've done here is I've logged into a sample student account. Obviously, I've named her Jennifer after myself. Um, Students should, of course, always be using only their first name or a nickname. It's really up to you, to the teacher, how they want to handle that. But you'll notice that the page looks very similar to what you'd see as a teacher or a mentor, but there are certain differences. One is that they don't have access to the galleries up top. There's really nothing in the galleries that they need to access directly. If you as a teacher go to like the past projects and you look for exemplars, you can take the link of the project itself and give that to students, and they can access that, but they can't navigate to it the way that teachers and mentors can. However, they do have their own resources. So this link to student resources is available to teachers and mentors as well. So make sure you check out what they have available. They have a quick start. They have their own version of the roadmap to inquiry and their own version of the plant investigation toolkit. So those will hopefully help them if they get stuck. And feel free to direct them to them because it's nice to see those used. The STAR projects information is here so they can see what STAR projects are about, and they can also look at some recent ones to kind of get a sense of what an exemplar would be. And then they do have access to the need help. The only caveat with the need help, they are welcome to submit tickets if they run into something funky. A lot of students sometimes do, whether you realize it or not. It's not a big deal if they do that. The only caveat is that I can't respond to them effectively because they're using an artificial email address. So just let them know if they run into problems. It's really better if they go to you and tell you what's going on and have you talk to me, just because you and I can talk it through. But um, if they submit tickets, it's not a big deal. It does draw my attention to things, so they should not hesitate if that's what they feel like they want to do. The actual panes of the dashboard are a little different. They do not have a group or a project pane down here the way teachers and mentors do. The reason for that is because they don't belong to any groups, but they do belong to only one project. So there's really no need for a whole box for that. That's listed here. And as long as we're here in this side menu, the profile page does warrant some awareness. Students, if they explore enough to come to this page, they can change their name. So just be aware of that. It's not a big deal that they can change their name. We just need to be sure that they don't put in their last name. Teachers, you might want to keep an eye on your student list just in case somebody decides to do something strange. They cannot change their username. They can edit their password here, but they can also do that here on the account page. The account page is where the platform takes them right after they log in for the first time, so they can reset the class-wide password into something that they only can remember. But they can always come to the account page to reset it if needed. If they put information in any of these other fields, so say they decide to edit their telephone field, like I can put stuff in here, but this privacy notice is worth bearing in mind. The accounts are always set to private for obvious reasons, so any information they put in there will not be visible to anyone. So it really doesn't matter if they do that. All of that stuff's hid behind a privacy wall. So just keep that in mind. Mainly just keep an eye on the name. Make sure nobody does anything weird with their names. And then, of course, there's projects. Okay, so now this project that I have my sample student in, of course, is a part of our demo group. So there's stuff already in here. When the kids come, this will be completely unpopulated. But you'll notice that we have this bar at the top that tells what theme we're doing. This is the power of sunlight. It should have your name, the teacher's name, the school name, and all of that. And then below here we have the info fields. So these they're all blue when they first arrive, and the first one will say edit info here. And then it's supposed to make its way down, but that doesn't work very effectively. So we really try to encourage students to know that if they want to change their info fields, the place they need to go is to the info option in this left-hand column. It's important that they do this for a couple of reasons. Okay, so first of all, it keeps them organized because as you can see, all the major chunks of a scientific exploration are listed here except for data and observations. And the reason why those are not here is because we expect those to be shared in the updates. But updating these fields helps us kind of see how far along they are. And they can always come back and edit and redo things throughout their project as their project sort of unfolds, if they need to make changes or if they just want to add more information, etc. Each one of these also has these prompting questions here in the blue fields that tell them what needs to go in each spot. And so when they click on info, all that information will also appear here on this page, and the edit project link is right here. It looks purple on mine because I've already clicked on it, but it will look blue to them the first time they visit. And so when they click on edit project, this is where they can come to make all kinds of changes. They can change the title of their project if they want to. A lot of kids pick some really clever plant puns or something like that. That isn't completely up to the teacher as to whether or not they're allowed to do that, but we think it's fun. It's really, it tends to give them a sense of ownership. So we encourage it. The edit is here, the explore, the research predictions, or the research question, the prediction, their experimental design, and their conclusion fields. So this is where they'll come to update those. One thing that you may want to tell them is that this little handle down here in the corner will let them expand the box so that they can see more of what they're doing. That front page has a buffer limit of the number of characters that it can show, but on the info page, it'll show the whole thing. So even if it gets too long for that front page, you can still see the whole thing by looking at the info page. So they should continue to add to this one as much as they want to throughout the course of their experiment. Just again, the Explorer is for where they is where they share like what they know about plants going in, what sorts of things they learned from the class-wide explorations they may have done prior to starting their exploration, etc. Research question, of course, is the question they're looking into. Prediction is their hypothesis. And the experimental design, this is the one that tends to get kind of long because ideally they're listing out the steps of what they're going to do in order to answer their question. And then their conclusion should be kind of the analysis of their data and what they think they discovered. So these prompting questions are below here for them at all times. If they ever are not sure what to write, they can always come here and it'll be prompted for them. They can also choose an image for their class. Again, we highly encourage this. It's another sort of ownership thing, and as long as the picture is school appropriate, they're welcome to do that. However, it's up to the teacher whether or not that's acceptable. But they just choose a file on their platform and then upload it, and it's good to go. Any changes that they make, you want to click Save Changes. Okay, so which will bring you right to here. And if they want to return to their project, they need to come up to click on the project title there. Okay, so, and again, see, notice that this cuts off with the dot, 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 but if I click on info, I can see the whole message. It's not cut off anymore. And it will continue to add those other fields as kids put text into them. They can also click on the team here. This shows them the list of people that are in their team. Their liaison will be marked a liaison under the role. Their mentor will be marked as a mentor. The teacher, of course, is the teacher. And then planning science staff will be there as an administrator. One thing that is really helpful to have kids do in our walk through scavenger hunt that we make for students, prompts them to do this as well, is to click on the mentor's face, this image here, because what that will do is it'll take them to their profile, and then they can read through these questions, what their favorite plant is, what they like about being a scientist. There's a random assortment of questions that they can choose from, so it may not always be these same questions, but this does help them kind of get to know who their mentor is, and maybe formulate some questions that they could ask their mentor as they're getting to know each other. Also shows some recent posts, etc. So that's another thing that they can look into. They can also, of course, get to know their liaison the same way. Teachers also have a smaller profile, but they can look at their teacher, etc. And then finally, of course, there's the files, which actually I'm going to come back to in just a minute. I'm going to go back up to the updates for now and come down here. So obviously I've used this to demonstrate things already. So you can see there's already been quite a bit of changing project settings, updating the info. So these messages appear when they make edits to that info page. When they update photos, they will appear in the feed, and same with documents. If they send a bunch of documents in at once, it'll kind of tile them out, so it's a little harder to see, but you can see that a file was uploaded. And anytime they post a message here, so type a short update, share with the team, and notice that the message that I just typed in always appears at the top. So it's like any other social media feed where the most recent is at the top. You can go back in time by scrolling down. You can also respond to anybody, any of these that have the little arrow by them. So, like, say, I wanted to respond to myself here since I'm the only one posting. Uh, but whenever you do that, the message that you reply to pops right up to the top with the reply just below it. Students can also edit their own messages. However, it's worth reminding them that when they post a message for the first time, the message that they post gets sent out via email to their mentor, to the liaison, to you as the teacher, and to me as the planting science staff. So that's just a caveat that even if they were to go back in and edit it later, we still have the original message. So be very careful not to post things that that are rude or inappropriate, even just to be funny. Even if you plan to delete it right after that, it's still going to be on record. And if somebody notices it and notifies us, we will find the email and we'll be talking to the teacher about it. So just make sure that they're aware that everything they post is basically public and everyone can see it. So it isn't going to be visible to other mentors or to other students off the cuff, but it is visible to lots of people that are checking to make sure that everything is appropriate. Another thing that we do check for, and I'm going to scroll down here to show an example of that here. Obviously, again, we want to make sure students know not to use their last names. But the other thing that they should never do, and this is harder because it's so instinctive and it's always very well meant, is they shouldn't post shared document links in their posts. It can be tempting to do that because they're used to doing that in school, especially if their school uses Google Classrooms or a shared Microsoft type setup. To just like make it visible to everybody and then share the link. However, when we look at that document on the Google platform, if we click on the document details, it will tell us the kid's full name. So we try to be pretty vigilant about watching the messages as they come through and flagging any that look like they have Google Docs link in them. And then we'll come in and replace that link with this tag that says link removed. That just lets the student know it's not that it broke, it's that we had to take it out of there. Sometimes as a planting science team member, I will follow up and just kind of gently remind them that maybe that they shouldn't be doing that. If they want to upload a file, they need to do it up here in the file section. And again, the file section does post to the updates feed. So if I wanted to upload something like, let's see, the screenshot, it's a pretty big screenshot. We'll see if it loads. Okay, so now there's a screenshot there. If I come down to my updates, it now shows the image in their feed. Okay, and then people can respond to it or whatever. So that's how that works. If there's any questions about that, please make sure you let me know. Students are welcome to continue to work up until the end of the session. If they need to go longer this session, they can. However, our STAR projects deadline is the last day of the session. So for fall, it's going to be the end of November. For spring, it'll be the end of April. If they need to bleed into the month following and their mentors are okay with continuing on for a few weeks, it's fine. We just can't judge them quickly enough to include them in the STAR project judging. So just keep that in mind. And of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at psteam@plantingscience.org.